Hey Titans, we're going to start a brand new project. It should be pretty easy and short. The first step of this project, however, is to go to the internet, so I'm going to use Chrome. You can see that I have defont.com, spelled this way, and Font Squirrel is another great font distributing site. These are for free fonts that we're going to look at. You can go through any of these, and it's pretty much the same way to go through all, so I'm going to stick with the one that's here right now. So most of them have categories that you could look through, or if you scroll down, they'll have different fonts that you can already see. But I'm going to go through the different ones that they have here. So once I find fonts, what I want to look for is fonts that are solid. So these are not the best ones, the ones with fades like this. You want to find solid fonts that are not just outlines. So I'm going to go through a couple more and see what I can find. This one seems to suit what we're looking for. It's solid and it is not an outline, and it doesn't have these kind of fades that happen in some of the other ones like this. We want it to be solid and also not have fades. So I'm going to download this one. When I click the download button, you'll see it appear down here. Now I want to get at least 5 brand new fonts that aren't already in your font list on Illustrator. So I'm going to go to different ones. Obviously I'm going to click categories that I like something about. So maybe this one looks interesting. I'm going to download this one. And you can see that they just pile up down here. You want to get 5 again. Obviously, we're not going to get things that aren't appropriate for school. And obviously, we want things that are readable and in English. Obviously, it'd be nice to pick ones that you actually like, not just shoot the first 5 that you find. But once you have them, you're going to double-click them one at a time, and it's going to bring you to the folder. You're going to look for the TTF file and double-click it. Or if there's another type of file that looks like this, you could try that too. It should lead to an install font button. Sometimes there might also be a thing to check here, like we might have to click a little box that checks it and then click install a second time. But that's pretty much it. So this one is called Top Secret. So now when I go over to Illustrator to start this assignment, it should be in there. But before I do that, of course, we have to go to File and New. The way we're going to set up our page is a little bit different. I'm changing some things back from another project, but what you want to do is make sure that this is in inches first, and then you want your width to be 8.5 and your height to be 11. So this is the reverse of what we usually do. We're going to call this project your last name, your first name, your grade, and ABC. And then press OK. All right, so once you have this set up, you're going to go to your text tool. I'm going to make the letter A. I'm going to use my selection tool to make it bigger. Just so you know, you also could have went to the options area and done it that way by just going to this area here and making it whatever size you want. You could also type numbers into this. So let's say I want to make it 100, just for argument's sake, it becomes that size, 100 points. So the next thing we want to do is find the text that we created. We know it was called Top Secret. Now I could go here, but here it doesn't show you what the fonts actually look like. You can go here to Font, type in Font, and then you could go down the list, and it's going to be in the first alphabetical list. So if I go down too far, it's going to have a different alphabetical list, so we want to stay in the first one. Okay, so here it is. Keep in mind that you may need to restart Illustrator if you don't see it. So now that we have it, we're going to just go on to the next letter, and guess what? We're doing the alphabet. Actually, I'm going to delete that and use our our duplicating technique, which is the Alt button and the Move tool, or the Selection tool in this case, because they're the same thing in this program. And then I'm going to use my Text tool again and highlight it and make it a B. And I can go for whatever next font it is that I downloaded. Okay, so basically what you're trying to make here is you're going to make the entire alphabet with different fonts, and at least 5 of them, if not more, will be fonts that are new and downloaded from the internet. At least 5 of those fonts, by the way, should be completely solid. If you want to go after the 5 and get ones that are like outlines, like the one that I'm about to do here, if you want to have ones that are outlines, it has to be after the 5, so those are additional ones. You really want to stay away from fades, though, because it's going to basically slow down this project and your ability to use Illustrator. So don't get things with fades or gradients. The next step of the assignment is to make the text a little bit more your own, and the way that you're going to do that is with 3 different things. You're going to use these two things here, which are called your fill and your stroke, which are also found down here, by the way. But for example, let's say I wanted to change the fill on my B. I could change its color that way. I could also come over here and change its stroke. So I'm going to make its stroke like a dark green. I'm also going to come over here and change the thickness of the stroke. So already I'm starting to change what the letter is going to look like. So using that same technique, I was able to make my fill white and my outline red on this one. This is the reason that you shouldn't really go for the outlines versions of your text before you download it. You could obviously make them on your own anyway. And secondly, for the next part of this assignment, it's not going to really be helpful to you. It'll probably more or less get in the way. Another way that you could change your text is by going to type and then create outlines. That's going to make it so it's no longer text and it's literally a picture now, which means that we can no longer edit the, whether it's the letter A or B or C, but what we can do is we can add styles to it. If you haven't been through the styles folders before, this is an area where you want to explore. So most of you have probably done the 3D effects, which are my favorite too, but you really want to explore the other folders. I'm going to show the 3D effects just because I don't want to reveal any of the other areas. I want you to find them on your own. This project has to do with exploration, so the more things that you show me that I haven't already seen, the more impressed I'm going to be. But all of these work the same way. So in 3D effects, when you click that, or any of the others, it'll show you a whole bunch of options. Now, if I don't like anything in that area, I might go to the next folder. But I'm going to show you a couple of these. These are the things that I show in every video. But the point is that not that you stay in this one folder, that you explore the other folders. So now I have this selected, and I'm going to add a 3D effect to it. Some rendering will happen, and then you'll see the effect. Okay, so now you'll notice that because I already have my colors changed, it didn't change to these colors, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it adopts the colors in the effect. And in some cases, you're able to go back after you do it and change the colors back to whatever you want, and in some cases not. So you may decide to add your styles before you add your fills. Also, just so you know, you can use effects that are under Photoshop effects, which are basically the filters of Photoshop in most cases. However, you don't want to make any of your text unreadable. It's also important to mention that the more effects you add, the bigger file this is going to be. So it is going to make this a little bit more difficult to work with, meaning that there might be long waits for each thing. If you have to wait more than 3 minutes for something, you should let me know, and I'll tell you how to avoid that in the future. Another place you could go to make your text your own is by going into your fill and going into the file here. Now, most of these are just flat colors, but there are some gradients, which are some cool effects. I'll show you what a gradient actually means. It'll be something like this. So at first you saw that my gradient didn't work, and that's because I forgot to go to type and create outlines. Now that I've already done it, by the way, it grays it out so I can't do it twice. But now that I've created outlines, I'm able to add those kinds of effects again. Also, I could go, even after I've created my gradients, I could go, or my fades, I could go over here and do this. Sometimes it will remove the fades and sometimes it won't. So now I want to demonstrate why I didn't have you get letters that were outlines. If I want to change the fill for this, like to say one of these colors here, it changes it like that. So notice the actual fill, the inside is not able to be changed. And unfortunately it stays like that no matter what kind of effects you put on it. Okay, so you can see that that's not really able to be affected. So I wanted to show you what a finished page would look like. First of all, I want to mention that obviously I went a little bit out of my way to create more than one alphabet, but I just liked what I was doing, so I, as usual, did a little bit more. However, my page is really slow. I just want you to watch what happens when I just try and change the size of this letter A here. So basically I have to wait. I'm not going to make you wait for the whole length of the time, but you can see that some time passes. Secondly, when I have this problem, and you can see it here again in my Q and in my U, I have a letter that's kind of over the effect that I'm looking for. I want to show you how to get rid of that. You select the letter. You would then go to Style, and you'd scroll all the way up and get to this. That takes away any styles that you have and just makes it black and white. Then you want to come over here and make your fill nothing and your stroke nothing. And when it comes up like questions like that, you may have to actually do it again. because you want it to read as nothing. So now that this has no stroke and no fill, when I add the effect, you'll see that it actually worked, and there's no black version of it over it like this green Q or this red U. So that's how you get rid of that if that happens. You can see that I found tons of different effects that are in 3D and not in 3D. So I hope that you search for some of these effects because they're really cool, and most of them are able to be found in these folders here and this effect area here. So make sure to explore those areas, and don't forget that you can also change your patterns by going here, or your gradients by going here. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this assignment. Please leave appropriate feedback and feel free to subscribe. Have a great one, Titans.